Real Life 3 stars. Man, we got a true artist in the building, man. We got Wait in the building.
Thank you.
Blessings, King.
Let me tell my story about Wade. He probably don't even remember this shit. Man, I was Waylon Euless, because I stay in Euless. ESG was coming to do a feature. I forget what artist it was. So that boy right there behind the engineering board, yo, sick.
Yeah, that was at the old location.
At the old location. This motherfucker was mixing, mastering on the spot. That shit was crazy, man. Way to the world, man. A lot of people know you from engineering. At least I do. You know what I'm saying? You transitioning over to being an artist. But let's take them back, man. Let's tell them your story. Where are you from?
I'm from DFW. I was born in Grand Prairie, but I really grew up in Arlington. So shout out to Ag Town. You know,
Shout out to Ag.
I graduated from Lamar in 2004. So I lived in Arlington the majority of my upbringing, but I ended up moving to Atlanta for about 2 years of high school, a year and a half of high school. So I was out.
What circuit is this? Atlanta around what?
Man, I was out in Lilburn. So it's like Atlanta's really just like downtown, right? And then there's sub counties outside of it that are like the city. So I was about 3 cities out or so.
Around what time frame?
This was in 2003.
Okay.
2002 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was cool though. You know, I went out there for a little bit. It was really different than Texas as far as, you know, when you're a teenager and, you know, you growing up. It was a different scene. But I went out there for a little bit, came back here. And when I had came back after I graduated, my first year of going into college is when I started really pursuing music and engineering a lot more. And facts, really, I was artist before I was an engineer. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been doing music this 13 years, you know, or so, a long time. And I've been engineering, you know, I started engineering my own music at first. So that was my introduction into engineering.
What got you to engineering your own? Most people, you know, they like, I can't pay for these beats. So.
Honestly, it was really, there was the lack of funds to, you know, we trying to make music, and we didn't have the money to go rent studio time and stuff like that. So like we literally started off with a laptop, a little M audio interface, a mic like this, plugged into the interface.
Oh, y'all going all the way below.
and we had a little cardboard box that we get down up in, right? We're trying to soundproof the shit.
At least you had the aesthetics, right?
So we like, that's how we started, you know. And then it translated. A buddy of mine, he let me actually use his home. I was like, yo, can I set up a studio here? Or like, can I put a booth in your closet? You care? And sure enough, he's like, I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want to do. I was like, bet that, you know? So from there, I had a spot, but it was always, you know, set up a studio wherever we could. I had studios in friends' laundry rooms. I had studios in my grandpa's living room. That's really I had studios in friends' back rooms of the back rooms. You know what I'm saying? It was really wherever we could set up shop.
When you say we, were you part of a group?
It was back then, and still now, you know, it was a little more people around me that were interested in music. And specifically, I had a partner later on down the road, but we were heavily making music back then. He goes by the name of Originate. Shout out to Originate. He's a dope producer, dope engineer, dope artist. And we kind of met at parties freestyling and shit. And, you know, I was doing my solo stuff, and he's a singer too, and he had the pipes. So I was like, yo, you know, what can we do together? You know, so we were kind of mashing together like that, and just anywhere we could set up. We were setting up, making beats with the motif hooked up to the little laptop, you know, and like I said, that's how I got into engineering, was engineering myself. Yeah,
and was it a passion?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, music for me, I was a writer first. You know, when I was 13, 14, I was really writing a lot of poetry and just free word stuff. It wasn't to beats, it wasn't to instrumentals, just to maybe escape from where I was at as a teenager. You know, everything was very, very hectic for me when I was growing up, very chaotic. So I was always trying to write and express that and take that energy and turn it into something. And it was later when I really graduated from high school, you know, I was going to college, and it was kind of that turning point where you're like, okay, do I go to college? Do I learn to work for the next man and build his dream? Or do I say, you know, I'm gonna take this into my own hands and build my dream, you know? And not to say that people that go to college don't build their own dreams, but for me, I got through with my first year with college at UTA, and I was just like, and I did really well in college, and I was just like, nah, this is not gonna take me any closer to making this music shit pop. You know, if I spend all this time on this, I can't dedicate my time to that.
Thanks.
And so, you know, I dropped out of college and we started setting up shop anywhere we could, just trying to record and just make music. You know, at that time, it's still a passion, but now it's definitely less of a hobby, maybe. You know, back then it was still very hobby oriented. You know, you got all your friends, we're in the studio, we're always just trying to make some music, try to put it out. It wasn't life or death. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, as I pursued with that, eventually I had the opportunity, shout out to Session Works, Jeff Mount, Sean Lunsford, they're over in HEB, well-known studio. We were approached with the opportunity they had built a back room, and we had the opportunity to rent that room out. And that was really the first location that we had that wasn't in a home or an apartment or a laundry room.
So you started with Jeff and them?
As far as engineering, like really taking it to an I was very blessed to be taken under the wing of some very, very talented individuals.
Now, I need you to brag just a little bit because I don't know if people really know what the fuck going on. Tell them some of the big songs that y'all have mixed and mastered.
Man, well, I'll tell them some of the big songs that Jeff has mixed and mastered. Man, Jeff Mount, for those that don't know, Ice Cream Paint Job, that man. You know what I'm saying? And he's worked well with Yellow Beezy as well. Maybe not some of the songs that are right now on the radio, but he's worked thoroughly with him as well. Big Tuck, Not a Stain on Me. Guess who?
Right.
Guess who?
Right.
So, yeah, that man deserves his respect. He's put a lot of work in for big name artists. And I think it's real easy for artists to kind of sweep the engineer under the rug. And they don't get the credit that the producer gets
at all.
You know, they don't get the credit that the videographer gets.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, though, without the engineer, the song, it don't end up being what it was. You know, so I was real blessed to be put in that position. And we had rented that room out, me, my buddy Nate, and another guy that's with me, Persona. We had all rented that room out just to do our music and to get our feet more wet and to be involved in the studio environment. And we were always with Jeff and Sean, like, hey man, can you come back here? And we're having a problem with the microphone won't, you know, it's not turning on. You show us how to route this right, or you know, what are you doing to make that sound, you know, like that. We were always looking over their shoulders, kind of taking the notes and stuff, and then going back to the dungeon and trying to, you know, take what we learn from them, and then, you know, you take things from people and you craft it yourself and make it you too, and you take what works for you and then you put your sauce on it too, and that's what makes something unique versus just like taking somebody's style or copying them. But yeah, we really lucked out, and I was with them for 5 years.
Oof,
yeah, I was with them. Yeah, we were with them a long time. So yeah,
even
definitely shout out to them.
Even as an artist, coming as an artist, going into engineering and producing, do you feel like now in 2018 going into 2019 that it's an engineer's game, even though they don't get the credit? Do you feel it's an engineer's game as far as the sound of music right now?
As far as the sound goes, it's always the engineer's game.
Yeah, Max.
Because the engineer at the end of the day is usually who's coming up with these new techniques. We'll take Travis Scott, for instance. He got the ad-libs that sound a certain type of way. You know, they got heavy reverb, they're real tuned out, distortion. You know, you hear all the stutters and stuff, and Nicki Minaj's stuff, where you know, the artist might say, hey, can you do something? But it's the engineer at the end of the day, when the artist leaves, who's sitting with the record like, yo, how can I take this record to the next place? How can I make it competitive, for one, you know? And how can I make it unique? And it takes the engineer to step into his own artistry to come up with that stuff. So if a song's not engineered, it's not getting released, and it's not going to sound like what you heard on the radio.
Fact.
Period. You know.
Yeah, we do videos, and honestly, the engineer helps out the videographer because they're making a music video, like on everything.
Yeah, we just play off of that.
Right.
Now, let me ask you about the rap side of it, because I met you at a couple Live from the Block events, and I filmed that.
Right.
And I looked it up, and I think you battle rap before, right?
I did one. I
You
did
did one.
I
Only one battle.
accepted a battle.
Only one battle.
He accepted the battle.
I battle rap is definitely not my forte for sure. I mean,
So you lost.
No, I won the battle.
Okay.
And it was actually
Ain't that like, nah,
it was
he got him.
actually against a very talented battle rapper. Maybe it was just my night, you know.
Right.
But I was just approached with it by a friend, Pat Manson. He had hollered at me and was like, yo, a slot opened up on this battle. I think you should do it. And I was like, here's the thing about battle rap. It takes a lot of time and energy. You got to write pages of shit. And I guess if you're really good, you don't write it. You're just a fucking idiot savant or something, and it just spills out all the time. But for me, I got to sit and write a lot, 32, 42 bars times 3 for multiple rounds. And then on top of that, you got to start to memorize it, rehearse it, how you going to execute it. So it's time consuming.
And it's free.
And we're not in New York,
Right,
so
right.
we're in Texas, and right now, and shout out to Live from the Block and Osama and those guys that
my
build
brother, man.
those
Shout out.
platforms for the people out here that are battling, because it's hard, it's tough. This is not a battle rap community state, but there are a lot of fans and good battle rappers down here. But for me, he had hit me up, was like, yo, there's an opening. He was like, do you want to do it? And I just wanted to test myself as an MC. I was just like, you know what? I don't battle rap, but yeah, fuck it. Let's do it, So I sat down, wrote it, blah, blah. We went, did the battle, and I won. And
You just went out like Jordan, like, I ain't.
I was like, yo, that was great. But, I tell battle rappers the same thing, too. Like, do you want to pursue music as an artist? Are you trying to get on the radio? Are you trying to get signed? Or do you want to be a battle rapper? Because there's only about 2 or 3 in the history of rap that really worked both lanes like that. And like Eminem being one of them, maybe another couple guys. Like these are guys that have problems and just rhymes just spill out of their mouths.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, all it takes is one to know that it ain't for you.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm a fan, but I'm not a bar snob like that. You know what I mean? I don't sit and watch battle rap videos all day and just, it's just not my thing. For me, I'm a music snob. I'm all about how can I make a record better? How can I make an instrumental better? How can I take the two and develop them together and make just, the overall album better? When you're sitting down, produce, and when you're doing things like that, there's so many avenues and areas, because I produce, I engineer, I'm an artist. My first album, I did everything on, minus one track. My buddy Nate produced for me. So I produced it, I engineered it, I wrote it. And when you're doing something like that, it's easy to get caught up in one of the sections. Right. Like you could sit and write a song and rewrite it thousands of times until you feel like it's right. Well, times that by an instrumental, times that by a mix, times that by a master. Now you might sit a month, 2-3 months with a song until you're like, oh man, this finally is starting to sound right.
Right. I was gonna say, do you even prefer doing all that yourself? You rather like let the because you're a professional and like you, like I got my own sound.
It's hard. I've definitely been able to create my own sound with it, and it pushes me to build my technique and to build what I can offer and what I can do for myself. And when I work with other producers and other engineers, what I want from them. But at the same time, there's definitely times when I feel like, I just wish I could be an artist. I wish I could just sit and write and not have to run to the booth, come back, run to the booth, come back. That there's a dedicated, and I have guys that do record me, but when you do a jack of all trades type of thing, it's harder. Sometimes you end up lacking in another area. Like for instance, with my first album, I felt like my writing ended up lacking because I was so invested in the engineering and producing. You know what I'm saying? This album I'm working on now, I brought in a lot of other producers, so I wasn't so worried about making the instrumentals. I feel like my writing is again at a place where I always thought it was. So it's tough, but in the future, that's how it's gonna be. Though these kids are popping out and they can rap, write, sing, produce, engineer. They're jacks of all trades. They're Kanye's, they're Dre's, and it's gonna continue to be like that. And that's a threat for those that aren't in that range, that can't find those talents, you know what I mean? And that's where the future is going. There was a time when you had to send your record to get mastered by a mastering engineer, and the mastering engineer says, no, you can't master, only we can master. Well, that's starting to go out the window, because now with the technology that's available with software and plugins, and also YouTube, you can go to YouTube University, learn damn near anything, and it's like, and that's not the case so much anymore, which is a threat to people that only do one thing, So I think that's really the future of what we're approaching, is these triple, quadruple threat artists that are doing their whole projects. They're doing their whole engineering, they're writing it, they're producing it. The creativity is just astronomical, and that pushes the envelope too with what music is and what we're doing with it at the same time. But I do sometimes definitely just wish I could just book a studio session, be the artist, sit and write. For me, I rotate through things, right? Because creativity, for those that aren't real creative people and maybe have other aspects that they are really good at in life, I think there's this idea that every song Michael Jackson made was his best song, right? Everything he does, he pumps out greatness, right? And that all creative people, that all creative, that all creative people are like that, and that's not the case. That you get writer's block, you get stagnant sometimes. You have to you have to find that, pull it out of you sometimes. The inspiration. You have to find that inspiration sometimes. So for me, I think that's what really made me that kind of artist, is that I would revolve through things. Like, okay, maybe right now I'm not feeling writing, right? So I'll go sit down and do a mix. And then maybe I don't really want to sit down and do a mix. I'll go make a beat. Well, I don't want to make a beat no more. I don't know what the hell to make. I'll go back and write. You know what I mean? So for me, I tend to revolve around these different sections of creating music, and that's what and when I go back to a section, I evolve through it, because when you plant seeds, they need time to grow, and when you learn new information, you need time to digest it. Right? It takes time. It takes years sometimes. There's things I might have learned when I was 24. I didn't get till I was 27.
Well, let me ask you about the album that you put out, No Pressure, No Diamonds.
Right, yes.
Yeah, that's out. Man, first of all, the first thing I noticed, you hit him with I think 18 songs?
Yeah, and actually that album is a mixtape, right?
Okay.
So that's why it's so long.
Right.
And it was a collection of songs that I had for over the years. Some of them are newer, and some of them are old as shit, 4 years old, 5 years old.
Right.
I did my album Underdog, and I put everything on there that I felt like really made the cut for that sound, and I had a collection of songs that I just had left over. And for me, I can't put out a new project. If I put out a new project and there were songs before it, well, once the new project drops, I can't put out those old songs now, because the new project will be a new development. It'll be better to me, right? So I always have to kind of clear out the vault first, and then I can be like, okay, now I can go to the new stuff. Because if I end up dropping the new stuff, I won't want to drop the old stuff, because I feel like I'm taking a listener back in the direction,
Right. Well, on one of the songs, "Chill in the Air," you referenced Hebrew 13, chapter 2.
Yeah.
Show hospitality to your strangers.
I like that song a lot, too.
Yeah, I like this song. That's
I produced that, so I made that beat as well. Yeah.
Dope. That's actually one of my favorite songs on the tape.
Thank you.
Just from just the honesty on it and the things like that. Now, the question I have for you is, are you a religious person? Because obviously you dropping scriptures
right
on the track.
Religion for me has become so I'm right, you're wrong, right? That I would not categorize myself as a religious person. I would definitely categorize myself as a human who is invested in spirituality, who is invested in finding that connection that we all have naturally, and that ideology is shunned sometimes in religion. In religion, you have to go here to get the truth. If you don't come to us, if you don't go here to get this truth, no. And I personally, I know that right here where I sit, this body's a temple and is able to fully connect to truth, So I'm a highly spiritual person as far as that goes. But religion, and it's a fine line for some people, but I see a lot of tumultuous just war, anger, and things. Religion has caused a lot of problems over our existence.
Right. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. In the battle rap, I would have dropped the Jesus line on him. I'm forsaken. Like,
kind of look like Jesus, bro.
That's what I'm saying. I would have dropped the Jesus bar on him.
As I say those things, I don't say that in ignorance, though. I've done a lot of time in reading about all kinds of different religions, and I respect all of these different ideologies and the people that invest their lives in that. I'm not saying like don't do that, you know what I mean, because definitely positive things can be brought out of honesty, right? If you're there for the right reasons, then obviously transformations and positive things can be brought out of it. And I did before I've come to my own place in spirituality, I sat for years reading all kinds of different books and really investing and going to different peoples and connecting with them and seeing what is this all about? What is this? At the end of the day, we're gonna lose this form at the end of the day, and you got to start to think about
knowledge
that.
will open your eyes, man.
Facts.
Which takes me
More
to,
than
of
that.
course, you worked with Blurry Visions, man, on the Reaper, man.
Yeah, the Reaper.
Man.
I brought him in. Yeah,
that is a dope visual, man. I want you.
It's cool. It's that video. I had this idea that I was just sitting one day and I was like, man, I bet the Reaper's a sad motherfucker. Like he
For real. I bet he is.
Yeah, because
your job is.
he's a sad dude because he want to be your friend to take you home,
Right.
but he got to kill you to do it.
Yeah.
So don't nobody want to be his friend.
Right. He's scared of you.
So it kind of, I don't know if you've seen the old Bill and Ted movies where they got the Reaper with the bald head.
For real. He took
Playing games with them and stuff. The Battleship.
They pulled the Reaper out.
Yeah.
Man, hey, and even in that song, when you spit a line that says, man, it takes 10 years to see a sin in this game. And spit that bar real quick.
Say that one more time.
You had a bar in there saying it takes 10 years to see cash in this game, to see money, to see any kind of
yeah.
And the bar right
It
there.
might take you a decade to get you a check. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's facts. I mean people when we kind of touched on this earlier. When I was younger, when you come into music and you're young, there's a lot of young guys that have made it right now. Quickly, fast, real fast, and you kind of have that idea when you come in that, man, my shit's the best that anybody's ever heard. I'm gonna make it so fast, and I'm gonna blow so quickly. Yeah. Once this album drops, and once I drop this next video, and once I drop this next tape, and once I, and you're real green initially when you come into this industry, and at some point, you get older, and it's like, damn, I still haven't blown yet. I'm definitely not making no money off of this shit. Right. And that's kind of what that bar was about. Like, just recognize that if it's a passion, you're gonna do it regardless of the money. And it's always been like that for me. It's never, it's about the money, but it's not about the money. It's always, for me, it's sit down like, well, what else you gonna do?
Yeah, you creative, man.
I don't know what else I do. I don't know anything else but this. So it's always been just create, do better, learn, grow, destroy, rebuild, learn, grow, destroy, rebuild, create, and that's what it's always been for me. And for the the younger artists that are out there and are trying to push, just keep pushing. Don't listen to other people. Do you, be genuine, be unique, try to push the envelope. It's weird. We're in a weird market right, in Dallas. It's a tough market. It's a very hard market musically to break in. There is an idea that music has to sound like this out here, right? And if you sound like this, it's not really what's gonna pop. So just don't worry about him or them. But if you look at the nation, who are some of the biggest artists? J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar.
The originals.
You know, guys are doing, becoming the greats.
Yeah, being original.
They don't make strip club music. They don't make dance music. That's not the core of their music. And there's always a time and a place, to get ignorant. Right. I mean? But why does it have to be like that here? Why does it have to be, if it's that type of music, it's not gonna go anywhere. But if it's this, we all gonna get behind it. You know what I mean? That's not what look at a national platform, and that to me, it's just not how it is.
It's facts though. Man, I was gonna say, Weight of the World. That name alone, and just for you personally, what is the weight of the world on you?
Man, Weight of the World. Weight was given to me by a friend, and I really, it's like weight was something I grew into, right? Because when it was given to me, I was a scrawny kid in high school. We were involved in unmentionable things. You know what I mean? That's really where the name may even come from. And that wasn't the name I wanted. You know what I mean? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, nah, man, your weight, bro, your weight. I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna run with it. I tried to change my shit at one point, and one of my other partners was like, nah, man, your weight.
For real. You've said it too many times, man.
And I was like, all right, cool. And as weight of the world, I mean, we all have, this world is so chaotic.
Exactly.
It's a circus, what I mean? And all of us are we all have our own struggles, and we all have our own trials and tribulations that we have to maneuver through, to try to hopefully come out sane on the other side, And for me, when the name was given to me, it was very hectic. Everything was so hectic around me that, as I grew, it became like this persona I was maybe becoming or something.
Yeah, no, you become your name. You become your persona. You start living into it.
At the time, I didn't understand that name. But as I look back now, I'm 32. I was given that name when I was 18.
Right.
So, so much has changed for me on my perception of the world and just the way that I experience everything. And now that I look back, the weight of the world is just like Atlas, just holding that shit and running with
dope,
it.
Man.
It's like trying to take all this pressure and all this struggle and turn it into something and not let it all be in vain, and hopefully turn it into something that other people can relate to and positively come out of on their own.
No, definitely, most definitely.
Hey, Wade, I'm Z-Star. I have a question for you. I had a couple of questions earlier, but just really quickly, I love engineers. I'm not a recording artist, but I definitely love engineers. And me growing up, I would open my cassette tapes up and look at the credits, and then I went to CDs. So,
yeah, we still do that.
You still do that?
Yeah, I mean, I had cassettes growing up.
Nice. So one of my favorite hip hop trios is a Tribe Called Quest, and Q-Tip is the reason why I got into engineers, because he shouted out Bob Power. So who is one of your favorite engineers?
Timberland.
Oh yeah.
Dr. Dre.
Oh yeah. Game changers.
Yeah. There's a chick named Sylvia Massey, I think is how you pronounce her name. I love to see females in that industry too, because it's a different aspect. And you don't see a lot of female engineers,
Right.
So I think it's really cool when you see that. It's a different energy. It's a different outlook on things. Man, I gotta really give it to Dre though. Dre.
What would you say? Whether from Dre or just whoever? What would you say was personally engineering wise? What was your best engineer song that you heard engineer like this?
It's crazy because it's constantly evolving. It's a constant evolution. My last song I just did was the best engineering song that I did.
Right.
That's
how you got to own it.
It's a constant.
That's how you gotta own it.
It's a constant process. The thing about engineering that's weird is you have to train your ear, right? So and then you might move rooms. So then you got to retrain your ear to the room, right? As you move to different places and stuff. So you don't know what sounds wrong until you know what sounds wrong. Right. Sometimes, like I could have an artist, but like you don't hear the distortion in these vocals that you just brought to me.
Yeah, you got to run.
Nah, man, I don't know. It sounds great, and I'm just like, because their ear don't know it, yet. But then once you know it, you're like, oh man. Anytime you hear it, you're like, oh, this sounds horrible,
Get surgical with that.
And
BJ.
for me, all of the art forms in general are constant expressions that are evolving, and they're being expressed as you're evolving as a human being. So for me, like literally some of the last records I just did are some of the best sounding ones to me, because I'm constantly learning new things, constantly learning a new technique, constantly learning a new way to apply the technique, right? Because even application takes, you go to school for 10 years and learn techniques forever. If you didn't get behind the boards and mix no records, though, you don't have no application. You got another 5 ahead of you before you take this gazillion techniques that they gave you and learn how to apply them and when to apply them and for what reasons at the same time.
If you could sum up 2018 in a phrase, give us that phrase, and what do you expect from 2019?
Man, 2018 was it's growth and development, man.
I like that.
As a lot of times it is with a lot of years, but specifically this year, I really came into my own in 2018. I really came into my own studio location this year where I own it. I'm not in a facility with a lot of different studios.
Where is it at?
ACD Audio. We are in Hearst, right? HEB area. Nice. So you can check that out, acdaudio.com. But I came up on my own studio, on my own facility that I own. My music in general, I've really been pushing for this next project to just grow. And you're always trying to develop a sound that expresses you, but it also works for the general public. Right? You're always trying to find that balance of how much of me do I fall into and how much of that do I fall into. Truth. And trying to find that balance is hard. And so I've really been in the studio just trying to find that as well and grow with that and develop that where I can honestly say my music's an honest expression of me, but some of it might sound commercial enough. You know what I mean? That's a hard thing to do for a lot of artists as well. In 2019, oh man, we're going to the stratosphere.
Yeah, there we go.
Blasting off.
There we go.
I just signed a management deal with King Life and New Breed Entertainment.
Oh yeah.
Which is really just taking we're going to take it to the next level in 2019. Me and my boy Bone the Mac, we got an EP we're doing. For those of y'all who don't know him, Mr. Higata, he was all over the radio out here. We have an EP that we're dropping. We have a tour in January. We're going all through Texas, hitting all the little smaller towns and just everywhere in Texas in general. You got good people behind you. Yeah, and I got a great team. And these are people I've worked with for years as well. It's not like these are new people for me either.
Exactly.
These are friend and family. So 2019, man, we're really just gonna try to take it past the moon. We're gonna try to, and it's crazy because as much work as you've done, there's still so much more you got to do.
Oh yeah. You never stop, man.
It never stops. It's never stop, man. You could do this for so long, and I don't know if there's ever an I made it.
I look at the great. I look at the RIP, the great Stan Lee, man. 95 years old. He was doing it till he was 95 years old.
True.
So it's just crazy. So
right, facts.
Man, for those that want to get to your music, get at you, man. Holler at you for whatever it is, any kind of business, tours, features, anything like that. Drop your social medias, your Gmails, how to find your music, man, where it's at.
The best way to find me is just to go to my website.
Yeah.
It's The Mind of Weight, WEIGHT.com. themindofweight.com. You go there, all my social media is right at the top. You just click a button, take you to whatever you want to find. All my videos are on there. You know, that's really my home page.
Yeah,
it's my hub. If you want to get a hold of me for bookings or anything like that, you can contact my management at kinglifemanagement.com. Yeah, kinglifemanagement.com. Feel free to give them a shout. We are ready to work. That's the best. That's really the best way. Just to go to the site, man. I don't like to try to pass out all the handles and everything. It's real easy just to go to the site. All my stuff's right there at the top. Short, sweet, and simple.
Definitely, man. You got any shout outs you want to give?
Oh man. Yeah, straight up. Yo, shout out to my man A-Dot for setting so much up for me. Shout out to my man Little Flip, man. He's always been a dope artist, a dope mentor for me to kind of follow behind. Shout out to Originate Music. Shout out to P the God, ACD Music Group, Lennon. Shout out to Paradox. Shout out to everybody that's around me that I just work with. I work with so many local artists, and shout out to all of y'all too. Keep pushing your dreams. Keep doing you and trying to make this shit pop. For sure.
Man, that's what it is, man. Appreciate you coming through, man. Waiting
thank you for having me. Thank you for
building,
having
man. A lot of knowledge got dropped.
Shout out to A-Dot, my nigga
A-Dot for bringing them through, man. This is definitely love, man. Definitely family in the building, man. Next time you come on the couch, man, we definitely want to see you in the elevated places, man. It's gonna be good if you hard to reach.
Yeah, man. And stuff like this, it's weird because not everybody reaches out to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like to really interact with people when you're on that level.
Yeah.
That's not some crazy huge level.
Yeah.
So then hopefully when you reach that huge level, you come back. And help lift up the people that are around you, and people. This is our city, and it's one thing I feel like we lack. We don't lift each other up. You know what I mean? It's a real me-oriented market and city, and for us to take DFW to that next level, we need to give the support, give the props where they're due, recognize the talent that there is, and hopefully work with each other and take it to that next platform.
Definitely, man. Well, definitely glad to have you on the forefront of that, man.
Thank you.
Rap Jesus in the building. Real Life 3 Stars. Wait, man, we salute you, man. Hey.
Thank you.
Shout out Reallyfe 3 Stars, nigga. Move. Hey.